Eli Johnson with nerdsofcolor.org. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi.
So, firstly, kind of like to get into the way we move into things because you had such an explosive introduction in Wakanda Forever and moving into the MCU. We got so much of the character fleshed out, and we saw so much development with her just in that one film. What can people expect to see going into the Ironheart series that we didn't get a taste of from Riri Williams in the introduction?
I think folks can expect a deeper dive, a much deeper dive into who Riri truly is. And she might be figuring that out along with us, but I think getting to see her out of this sort of fight or flight, panicked type zone and someone who is trying to reckon with the experiences of her life up to this point and what the future has in store, I think is a very necessary, intimate journey. And I'm looking forward to folks jumping along for the ride.
Absolutely. And this was a really massive undertaking, continuing this from the film into the TV show. What was it sort of like, kind of continuing filming in this style, this big budget style, and really kind of like working with all these special effects? How was that experience for you as an actress?
It's fun. It really is, to get to play in this gigantic kind of dream world where anything and everything is possible. It really does kind of spin that phrase on its head, like the sky's the limit. When we see her soaring through it and wanting to go beyond, no doubt. So I think it's been incredible, and it really does sort of amp me up for what's next.
For sure. And I always kind of love to ask this question about people moving into these expanded universes. Were you a fan of the comic books sort of going into this? And who would you kind of like to see Riri Williams paired on screen with going forward? If you could have
Oh.
just like one character that you could sort of interact with.
Oh man. I was definitely a fan of the movies, not super deep into the comics, respect to the comic heads. My brother was definitely he's into the comics. Um I would love to see Riri paired with Miles Morales. I think that would be really, really cool. Get the city kids together and let's see what really happens. I think that would be very dope.
Absolutely. And is there sort of anything you can kind of reveal as far as, you know, what the character arcs would sort of look like, what we can expect as far as like the dramatic turns? Because I feel like we saw a lot of the action,
Mm.
but you said that we're going to be able to see so many more facets of it. Like, what's something that we can sort of see, and what would be, if you could give us a number, what would be your favorite episode for people to look forward to? If you could just give us a number.
Ooh, what a intelligent way to ask a question, sir.
I've been doing this for a little while. I know
Let's
nothing.
see. I think word, as I mentioned, like just her doing a little more inward reflection and having to take a deeper dive. She may not necessarily actually be down for that, but that might just be what the circumstances require. And so I think the impact that that has on her and how she navigates it looks it will look familiar to us based on what we know about Riri from Wakanda Forever. But I think, of course, like life, things change, you move forward, new people and circumstances arise, and you have to be ready and able to pivot quick. And so that's also what we're seeing is Riri thinking that she knows what she's going to do next, but life telling her, actually, no, you need to pivot here. And so for me, I think if there was an episode that I would be most excited for folks to see, it would probably be episode 3. Because I think that is for sure a moment where Riri starts to reckon with, she's getting more information, she's getting more details, and she's getting closer and closer to having to make a decision about who she's going to be and what she's going to do with all that info.
Absolutely. And just kind of in closing out, I was kind of like to get everyone's sort of views on the series because it's always so interesting to see how everybody involved in the process sort of relates to it. So, what do you feel like people watching the series could take away from it? Just, as young people watching the series, maybe even as an older crowd watching the series, what's something that you feel people could take away from them from Ironheart?
Oh man, I really do think there's something different in it for everybody. But if I had to pick one overarching thing, I think would hope that there is power in really leaning into who you are. I think there's a lot of conflict that we see arise from not just Riri, but other characters trying to suppress elements or aspects of themselves, their life, what have you. But when the opposite is true and when folks lean in or just simply make a decision, then we see things start to move forward, positively or not. And I think regardless, I hope that folks walk away feeling inspired to kind of walk in their truth for the sake of feeling like a more full, whole person that, you can be proud of.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to speak to you about Ironheart coming up very, very soon this month. Congratulations on the project. Everything looks amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the support.
Lectures, fanboys, professional artists, and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC.